everyone, it's Maha. This video was totally not planned. I just decided last minute to make a video about this topic, and the reason I decided that is because I had a dream last night that I should make a video about it. So I don't know what it's gonna turn out to be like. Originally, I really wanted to make a video about the Persian celebration of Mabon, autumn equinox, which we call Mehragan. And I wanted to make a more formal video giving you some history, some meanings, just the same as I did for my Yalda, the Persian celebration of solstice, winter solstice, and also the Persian celebration of New Year. I have those two videos in case you haven't seen them in my playlist called Cultural. I have playlists for all my videos, so just for your convenience, you can just go there and check out all my videos if you like. They're all under different headings. So I wanted to make this video a while ago, and then I knew that I'm just not gonna have time to do it because of my crazy schedule this month recently and all the videos that I have piled up that I want to do for you guys. I knew I wouldn't have time, so I just thought I would just make a very quick video sharing some information, some facts that I've come across, which I find really interesting, and hopefully you will too. I've always just been very curious about the history of names, the origin of names, where they come from, and how they came to be, both surnames and names of festivals. And a few years ago, when I discovered Wicca and paganism, Western paganism, I noticed that some of the names of certain celebrations were very, very similar to the Persian celebrations of the same festivals. So I wondered, is there a link between these two? Is it just a coincidence that they are so similar? For example, what we call Yalda is Yule, and what we call Mehragan is Mabon. And then I came across some things. I just did some of my own research and found that the Mabon is actually a surname that means child. And of course, that's just a very narrow version of it. There's tons more information about that. And then I came across something else in my book called The Mysteries of the Mithras by Payam nabraz, which I can link for you down in the description box. And I'm going to read you something I found, which I find really interesting. Now, before I do that, for those of you, in case you don't know, Persia is the ancient country, which is the modern day Iran. Iran, which is pronounced Iran, not Iran. Just like you would pronounce Italy, the I in Italy, and the I in Israel, the I in imperial, the I in interesting. It's an I that's pronounced E. So I don't know why some people call it Iran. I've heard that quite often. I have no idea where that came from, but it's Iran. And this is the modern day country's name, and it was changed to Iran some decades ago. I'm not sure exactly how many decades ago it was changed, maybe 6 decades ago, from Persia to Iran. And Iran means the land of the Aryans, Aryans. And that was the race of people from the land known as Persia, for the Persians. And so I've often wondered, I mean, let me just say that I have always had this instinctual attraction to history, folklore, stories of anything coming from the Celtic world. I've always been very drawn to it. Don't know why. And I've encountered people in my life who were actually Irish, and they told me some things about that part of the world that actually made me wonder how it came to be that these two very different and geographically far away parts of the world are actually connected. I mean, how did that happen? I met this guy once in the library. He was an older man, a wise man from Ireland. He was Irish. And he actually told me that there are these islands in Ireland called Aran Islands. I've never been to Ireland. I would love to go. And Aran Islands were named after some Persian explorers went and discovered these lands and called them Aryan Islands. So Aryan Island, meaning people, the Aryans who discovered it from Persia, called this land Aran Islands. And I also know that Zoroaster, who I talk about in my winter solstice video, the prophet of Zoroastrians, the ancient religion of Persia, he had a lot of, he traveled a lot, and he traveled all over Europe, and he had disciples coming from different parts of Europe to learn from him. Now, Zoroastrianism is an older ancient religion. Goes back to 3,000 something years ago. But before Zoroastrianism, there was Mithra, the cult of the Mithra religion. Not the Roman version, but the one predating the Roman version. So this was 7,000 years ago, something like long, long time ago. And they celebrated the stations of the sun. Mithra is a sun god. And so a lot of these celebrations were pagan celebrations, and they are shared now by modern pagans. I mean, I just find it very interesting that our country, which is now associated with the Middle East and Islam, and it's just totally almost stripped off of its ancient rituals and traditions, actually lives in the Western tradition. I don't know if that makes sense. And so I want to just say that for autumn equinox, I haven't prepared anything, so this is just all coming to me now, and I have a very easily distracted mind, so I'm thinking so many things all at once now. Okay, so apparently the Persian calendar, pre-existing Zoroastrians, began at autumn equinox. That used to be apparently the first day of the new year. I actually didn't know that. I just learned it recently. But the Persian calendar, which started with the Zoroastrian religion, the first monotheistic religion before Christianity, before Judaism, was the calendar based on the astrological year. So the very first day of the Persian New Year is now still and celebrated as March 21st, Aries. But it used to be apparently that in the ancient times, the celebration of Mabon, which we call Mehragan, was huge, and it was one of the reasons they suspect is that the older Persian calendar was at autumn equinox. So the very first month of autumn equinox begins with the month called Mehr in Persian, and Mehr is named after the goddess Anahita, the goddess of the waters, the goddess of the oceans, and Aban is the name of Mithra in Persian, and Aban was the fire god. So the ocean, the water, fire, the moon, and the sun. And I'm going to read you a little paragraph in the book here that beautifully describes this better than I am. And so every month of the zodiac year, the Persian calendar, is named after either a god, goddess, or an elemental spirit. So every month is dedicated to either a god, goddess, or elemental spirit, or a nature spirit. Very interesting. And that could be a whole other video that I could make in the future. I just wanted to throw this little pieces of facts for you here to think about, ponder over, just to introduce you a little bit to my culture. Now I'm going to read you from Payam Nabraz's paragraph here. He came to this conclusion while meditating on the inner mysteries of the stations of the sun in context to the Mithraic mysteries. So he goes, I have found apt connections among the many shared symbols. Consider that the autumn equinox marks the beginning of the Persian month of Mehr, so as I said, and the start of the festival of Mehragan. Remember that the month of the sun god Mithra, or Mehr, is followed by the month of the sea goddess Anahita, Aban. So, I'm sorry, I just realized that I said that the other way around. Aban is Anahita, Mehr is Mithra, which makes sense. I just confused the two for a second. Ay, ay, ay. The month of the sun leads into the month of the sea, as the Celtic Druid sun being sets into the ocean. The ocean sunset is a metaphor of the sun uniting with water. Consider the resultant light reflected upon the water. Mehr comes together with Aban, giving rise to Mehr Aban, the one who is kind, the child of light. Mehraban in Persian means kindness. Now consider the Mabon, the Celtic child of eternal light, who needs to rise after being hidden in the sea. The Mabon, also known as the great prisoner of the great sun, S-O-N, was taken away from his mother, Modran, don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, 3 nights after his birth. The Mabon has been the goal of many spiritual quests. He is the inner light within us all. While the child is born at the winter solstice, the time of the autumn equinox belongs to him, as we say farewell to him. As he goes through the gates of death and harvest, he is within the seed of plants and the seed of light in us. The Mabon is fire and water, sun and sea in their union, creating perhaps the most important spiritual quality, that of human kindness. And I just wanted to share that with you because I thought it was beautiful. I like sharing beautiful things with you. I love sharing aspects of my culture with you. And that's it for now. I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Comment below and tell me what you think about this. Bye.